So here we're going to show you how to start attaching your sinew to your hoop. So once everything's tied on, I've made you a little tracer that looks like this. And you're going to lay it on top. And you're just going to make some marks with a Sharpie or with a marker, just small, right on your jute so you can see where to attach your sinew. Okay. So basically it's the same hours as a clock. There's 12 spaces. This is the sinew here. So the sinew is traditionally actually like tendons that are in animals' bodies. We're using basically a wax string. So when you touch it, you're going to feel your hands get like a little sticky, and that'll stay on there until you wash them off. Okay. I've also taken my sinew and I've kind of bundled it up just by weaving back and forth. Because at the beginning, it's very, very long. It's 2.5 arms length verse of sinew. And it can get very, very tangled. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to tie it in a knot right where my knot is for my jute. And I would tie a double knot for sure, nice and tight. And I'd leave some extra in case it comes undone so you can retie it. All right, so going around the first time, you're going to do a very basic weave, okay? I'm always going to work with my hoop in my left hand and my sinew in my right hand. And the way I'm going to work is working from behind the hoop instead of over top of it. So the first weave is you take your sinew behind your hoop. Get myself centered here. And then you're going to put the bundle of sinew into that open space you created. So lay it behind the hoop and then put the sinew back in that space. And all you're doing, as you can see, is creating a loop. Okay, I'm going to move that loop to where my mark is. Okay, so again, it's just creating a simple loop. And I'm going to pull it towards the center as tight as I can. So all it's doing is creating a straight line across here. Then I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to take my sinew, put it behind the hoop, take the remainder of the bundle, and put it inside to make a loop. I'm going to move that loop to my second marker. As you can see, I'm kind of tightening it. And then I'm going to pull really tight towards the center, creating another string that's straight across. And I'll do it again. I'm going to take my string, put it behind, and take my bundle, put it inside. Okay, so I've created a loop. I'll put it where it needs to go and then put it into the center. Now, I can see my bundle here has come all undone. I'm going to take it and bundle it back up. And I'm going to take one of the strings and kind of wrap it around so it doesn't get as tangled. Be a bit easier for you. Okay, so again, pull it behind the hoop, inside the hoop, take my string, put it where my marker is, right about there, and pull tight to the center. A good habit to get into is wherever you've done your last knot, to put your hand. Slide that knot around to where it needs to go and pull. Turn into the knot. My little sinew bundle came undone again. Slide it to the new spot and pull to the center. Okay, and you're going to keep doing this all the way around. Okay, ideally the sinew kind of weaves its way into the jute so you don't really see it. And the last one I'm going to do is here. So I should have a gap between where I started, where my jute knot is, and where my last knot is. They don't touch. Okay. And then I'll show you how to weave the inside. So now I'm going to start weaving the inside. Okay. It's a little bit trickier because it's very tight space. It'll get easier as you get to the inside of your dream catcher. So I'm going to start off by, I'm trying to get the sinew through this hole, okay, between the jute and the sinew here. So the technique I find that works best is using my right hand. I'm going to take the sinew and make a little loop that I can push up through that hole there. Okay, once it's through the hole, I'm going to pull the entire long piece all the way through. Okay, what I've done now is all I've done is put the piece behind, and I've created a new window here. So what I'm going to do with that new window is I'm going to put this whole big long length of sinew back down through that hole and pull the entire long piece all the way through. And what that does is that creates a loop, okay, around that other piece there. I'm going to pull it as tight as I can to the center, just like the beginning. And I'm going to try to move that knot so it divides the string in half. Okay, you're creating a triangle, and that's your first loop. I'm going to turn my dream catcher a bit, holding it nice and tight. I'm going to push my fingers on the knot to hold it so it doesn't slip, and then try the next piece. So take your sinew, make a little loop, put it up behind and between, okay, the sinew and the jute, and pull it all the way through. It'll be long. Now I have a space I've created. I'm going to take the sinew. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. I'm going to put my 2 fingers through that hole. I'm going to grab the piece of the sinew with my fingers and pull it down and pull all the sinew all the way through. So I've created a loop that I'm going to pull really tight towards the center. I've created a triangle, and you can see now I have 2 triangles and then a third one, which I've created in between. And turn it, hold the new triangle with my fingers, and do it again. So sinew up between the back space, pull it all the way through, put my 2 fingers through the new hole I created, clamp the long piece of sinew in my fingers, and pull it all the way through. Okay, so again, now I have a loop that I've created. I'm going to put it right in the center, pull tight towards the center, turn it, grab the hoop. Let's do another one. Make a loop up between the sinew and the jute, pull all the way through. Find that new space here, so I'm going to open it up. You see the long piece of sinew. I'm going to put my finger between the long sinew, and I'm going to pull it down and all the way through. Okay, so there's my loop. Pull it tight. I've made a new triangle. Turn, rotate, hands on, up through the back, all the way through. Another way you can do it is take the end of the sinew. So I'm going to find the very end, and you can drop it into that new hole as well if you find that easier. I find that part a bit harder because you got to keep finding the end of the sinew that way. And turn up the back, all the way through. Open up that hole there that you've just created. Grab the sinew and pull all the way down. Okay, you don't want it to be over in the side here or over here. You want to divide this piece here in half and then pull towards you. Grab the knot, next piece. Pull all the way through. You might open up that new space, grab, and pull all the way through. Okay. Pull really, really tight. The tighter you pull it, the better it's going to look. Grab the knot, turn up through the back, over, grab. You can see as you learn to do it, you're going to get faster and faster. Make sure it goes up from the back in between. Open that space, finger in, and pull through. If you think that you want to put a needle on the end of this, you can. Okay. And then last one. Actually, we'll stop there. So I have done my first row all the way around. You can see that I've divided all my pieces in half. This one here, for example, I don't find as close to the center as I like it to be. I can put my finger in and just actually slide it over a bit. At this point, I can move them so that they're in the center. Okay, so I have a row of triangles that go all the way around. Okay, now what I'm going to do for the entire rest of the dream catcher is I'm going to be dividing pieces of sinew in half, doing the exact same knot. So I'm dividing this piece in half, and then this piece in half, and then this piece in half, and this piece in half, and this piece, 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 and this piece. Okay, I'm actually going to put a marker spot on them that you don't need to do, just so you can see what I'm talking about here. So the rest of the weaving process is just cutting all these pieces in half, and they get smaller and smaller. So with my hand on the knot, same technique, but now I have a little bit more space. I'm going to put the sinew up behind that string. Same thing again, I've created a new space. I'm going to pull it around to make my loop. I'm going to pull it onto the knot and pull it right into the center. Hold that new knot and turn. I'm going to pull my sinew up through that space, pull it all the way through. Now I've made a new space over here, and I'm going to pull it all the way through. I'm going to slide that knot over so it's in the center and pull straight towards the center. Hold the knot and turn. Up the back, pull all the way through, make a new hole, and you're just going to keep weaving all the way around. Okay, it's possible that your sinew starts separating a little bit. Okay, if that's the case, you can take it and twist it together. You can even take a little bit of wax on your hands from a candle or something and try to make that work too. If at any point something doesn't look like it's a triangle, if you have a rectangle at some point, you've done something wrong. Okay. And you're just going to keep going around and around and around. When you get to the next row, you're going to look at, where do I see a straight line? So I'm going to trim this in half now, and then this, and then this, and this, and this. You always have a nice straight line in which you're cutting in half. If at any point you want to add a bead on, you'd have to put it on your sinew before you tie it in a knot. Okay, so it gets locked into a piece. You can do that for your second one. You can you can add some beads on, and you're just gonna keep going around and around and around until you get to the center. So I kept on weaving. You can see how the triangles are getting smaller and smaller, and they're actually not even triangles now. As they pull, they become rectangles or quadrilaterals. You're going to get to a point where your spaces are really, really hard to weave through. So if I take the end of the sinew and I put it up through that hole, there's my new space I've created. I can still do the same technique, put my finger through and pull it through, but it's going to get to a point where they are tiny, 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 and it's going to be really, really hard to weave. So you can make a decision. I'm going to weave right through like this. You can make a decision that you're going to stop weaving and you're going to finish off your dream catcher. Okay. So when you finish it off, you're going to do one last loop. Okay. Come through, go through the space. But instead of having pulling it tightly, you're going to loop through that hole a second time. So there's my loop. I'm going to go back into it again. And I'm basically creating a regular knot around. I'll pull it as tight as I want. And then now I am done. And to finish it off, I should have pulled that a little bit tighter. There we go. So you can see that tighten up. I can take it and I can just cut it off. And now my weaving is complete.